up, you guys? Welcome back into iHeartRadio's official wrestling podcast, the Battleground Podcast. And, well, tomorrow night, TNA's Under Siege live on Triller TV and TNA Plus, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern, which you're going to see the system taking on Speedball Mountain and our special guest today, the one, the only, Matt Hardy. Matt, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. I'm here. It's a beautiful day at the Hardy compound. I'm getting ready to head to Albany, New York, which I'm very excited about. Very excited about the match tomorrow. Very excited to be teaming with Speedball Mike Bailey and also Trent Seven for the very first time. I think we're going to make a hell of a six-man combination. And the beginning of the end for the system starts tomorrow night. They were going to be under siege because Broken Matt is going to emerge, and it is going to be a long night for the system.
Oh, yeah. And, of course, you talk about Broken Matt, and you shock the world by recently returning to TNA at Rebellion. Let me ask you, what motivated your return to TNA Wrestling? Were there, like, specific factors that drew you back to the company or what? Because TNA is making some headlines right now.
I mean, bottom line is TNA is in the DNA of Broken Matt Hardy. That is where Broken Matt Hardy was born. That is where he thrived. That is where he rose to prevalence. That's where his nascence began. So yes, TNA holds a very special place in my heart. And I wanted to go back as Broken Matt. I wanted to contribute. I wanted to help. TNA is doing great things there. They remind me of myself a lot. They will not die, regardless of what scenario they found themselves in. They are survivalists, and I dig that. So TNA to me was the best choice at this time. And it really is the goal of Broken Matt Hardy, the essence inside of me, the entity inside of me. He wants to win and procure the TNA World Championship.
Yeah, you want to get that thing that's sitting here right behind me, right?
Yes,
we need to add that to your gym at home that we've seen. So,
well, I won it as Matt Hardy, one half of the Hardy Boys. I have won it as Big Money Matt, but Broken Matt Hardy has never procured it. So that is the mission for Broken Matt in Damascus.
Well, we're going to put that out into the universe, because I will tell you that every time somebody has come on this show, they have gone on to win gold. So good track records are here with you on our show for sure. And, you know, this is kind of an interesting thing. Like, TNA Wrestling has undergone various changes since your previous tenure, right? What aspects of the company's current direction or roster excite you the most?
I just like the fact that they're telling stories. You know, you have a lot of characters across the card from top to bottom. They're involved in stories. And I feel like you have a good guy, you have a good force, and you have a bad force, and you want to follow this story arc. You want to follow their journey, and you want to see your favorite succeed. And I think TNA is doing an excellent job of doing that. And I'm big on the entertainment aspect of TNA. And I love the fact that TNA focuses on that so much. And they have so many young guys that have a ton of potential to be the next generation of big stars in this industry. And I'm very excited to work with each and every one of those guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And you look at that roster TNA's got, and it's top to bottom stacked, both men and women. And, you know, you've been with various other companies in the past. Of course, you've been with TNA. What has influenced your perspective or approach to your career, especially now that you're back with TNA?
I just think being back with TNA right now, it's a great vibe. Everybody is working for the greater good. I feel like it's a team effort, and everyone is focused on making TNA be as great as it can possibly be. And I'll be honest, TNA really jumped back on my radar whenever they rebranded from Impact Wrestling to TNA. Whenever they had that Bound for Glory, it was an incredible show. They were making headlines. There were guys that were going there. They were thriving, and they were talking about how great the atmosphere was and how great the locker room was and how great just the company camaraderie was. And I've experienced that. You know, I did last week. Obviously, the very first day I was hid away in a room, and we tried to do everything that we could to make sure that stayed silent and a secret. And fortunately we did. We were successful in that. But then the next day I was able to interact with everyone and kind of just talk shop with people in the locker room. And it's just a great group of ladies and gentlemen. And I think TNA is going to grow from this point on.
Absolutely. And you talk about TNA not getting stuff out there. It's amazing that when you sit there and you watch TNA, and I know they do like some weekend tapings here and there, it's amazing how nothing gets spoiled from the events at TNA. Like, and that's great.
It is pretty impressive. And that shows a lot of loyalty, you know, from the TNA fan base, you know, because they do come there and they don't go out of their way to spoil the upcoming TV tapings and the events that they've seen. So also, I'll say this as well. I feel like TNA was the best environment for me to unleash Broken Matt again and get the most out of him, to optimize the performance of Broken Matt. And as you've seen, I've kind of moved the whole Broken Matt saga forward, because
Mhm.
now we're making it very crystal clear that I am Broken Matt and Broken Matt is I. It's much like a Bruce Banner Incredible Hulk scenario. And,
Yeah.
just over the last year or so, I'd kind of reached my breaking point in wrestling, and Broken Matt has emerged again. And it is going to be a handful for everyone in TNA that steps up to Broken Matt and dares oppose me.
Absolutely. And it's going to definitely be fun. Of course, tomorrow you got Under Siege live on Triller TV and TNA Plus starting at 8 p.m. Eastern. So, with your extensive experience in the wrestling industry, how do you see yourself contributing to that younger talent within the TNA locker room?
I mean, I feel good first and foremost that I've been a fan of as Broken Man says, the Ball of Speed, Mike
Hmm.
Bailey, Speedball Mike Bailey. Really enjoyed his work. I've seen him have some incredible matches, so I'm very excited to work with him. I'm very excited to share the ring with him and kind of like talk shop with him and kind of see where his mind's at, because I like his creative process. Trent Seven, I've known him for a while. Excited to be sharing the ring with him, and I feel like I am one of the guys that has been around for 25 years on
Yeah.
TV. I have been gifted with lots of TV time, and like people know me. Like I'm recognized in public every single day. Like people have seen me because I have been on their television screens, and my image has circulated so much in the wrestling industry, and
Yeah.
that's a blessing on my end. But if I can do anything to help these guys by saying like, "Hey, Matt Hardy's wrestling, but I saw this Mike Speedball Bailey, and he's awesome. I want to watch him now and support him now." Oh man, I tuned in to watch Matt Hardy wrestle, but then I saw Trent Seven, and he's really cool. I want to see him wrestle. I want to follow his career now. That's kind of my goal. When I'm there, I'll give them the little bits of insights, the nuggets I can that can possibly help them in their career, help them have longevity, whatever it may be. But just
Hmm.
at Impact from top to bottom, there's a ton of young guys that are hungry to learn and hungry to try and move to that next level. And I just think the whole company is so hungry. They are so driven right now. And I love being in that environment.
Right, for sure. And it is kind of funny you talk about how people recognize you out and about. And I've seen several TikToks where your wife has posted that you went to like a wrestling and like a school gymnasium and tried to hide, and everybody figured out it was you, or you're out and about. Like it's got to be one of those cool things that when you sit here, because you've wrestled, you've had a hell of a career. Like I watched you as growing up watching wrestling. My two kids have watched you growing up as they're wrestling, and 16 and 7. And it's kind of a cool thing that you have like a generation of me, my kids, and being able to watch. It's got to be something cool, right?
It's very cool, man. And the fact that myself and my brother are both like generational guys now. We have this all the time because we
Hmm.
do a ton of signings currently. But we'll have people that'll come and say, like, oh man, when I was young, I watched you guys growing up. Like you were my childhood and you were my teenage years, whatever. Thank you so much. You made it special. But now my kid has started discovering your old matches, and they're watching your old content, and now they're Hardy Boys fans, and they want
Hmm.
to tune in, and they want to see Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy. They want to see them do their thing, which is very, very cool. And it's like a bonding moment for those people. And I love that so much because I know how important my kids are to me too. Those bonding moments we share mean the world to me. So the fact that there's so many fathers and mothers and children, different generations, with generational talents that bond over their fandom of
Hmm.
Matt Hardy. That is very, very cool, and I dig that so much.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of wrestling fans do have that bond of the Hardy Boys because everybody's done the dance, everybody's done the swantons, everybody's done the twist of fates, everybody's done everything, and it's awesome. So, you look around the wrestling landscape, it's evolved significantly over the years. How do you envision your legacy evolving as you continue your journey, particularly back with this new chapter in TNA?
I mean, more or less right now, for the few years I have left to do this, I want to contribute wherever I'm at.
Mhm.
That doesn't mean I need to be the top guy and I need to be undefeated. That's not what I'm looking for. What I'm looking for is to be in meaningful television, to being meaningful rivalries, and to help elevate young guys, help teach young guys to give back. Because when I came up in the business in the 90s, that wasn't quite the mindset. It was like protect your spot, protect yourself. People didn't give back quite as much. So I feel like it's my obligation to give back. I live an incredible life because of pro wrestling.
Mhm.
Like I grew up, myself and my brother, we grew up and it was just our dad raising us. We were dirt poor. We farmed tobacco. And we scrap to get by. And the fact that I've been able to make this great life for myself to give my children a head start, I'm very gifted that I've been able to succeed in pro wrestling so much. So I feel like it is my obligation to give back and help the next generation, because that is what I want. And that is what I want my legacy to be more than anything else, that I am one of the most passionate pro wrestlers ever. And that I was willing to give back and try and make pro wrestling as a whole a better place.
Right. Absolutely. Well, I know your time is precious because you got a big match tomorrow night for TNA's Under Siege, which, of course, watch it live on Triller TV, TNA Plus, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern. I know that you've dabbled into the world of technology with Vanguard and some other things. And on the show, we like to dabble with technology here as well. We've got a Chat GPT robot that is like an intern for the show. And we always let the robot ask one question to every guest that comes on the show. Sometimes we have to kind of like, push them a little bit further, because it's always the question of, how did you get your start in wrestling? And we're like, they've asked that a million times. We don't need to know that. We can see Wikipedia. But the question that our robot has come up with is, if you could delete one wrestling move from existence, what would it be? And why should it fade away and classify itself as obsolete?
The Playmaker. That move, it was always, I feel like it was just such a challenging move to do. It wasn't super impactful. And I felt like it was just a move that gave a lot of guys issues when trying to execute it many times. I know I dealt with that with MVP a lot when he was doing it for a little bit too. But that would be the first move that immediately jumps into my mind, as you can see from my answer. So yeah, that was okay. Vanguard 1 doesn't have heat with your robot. That was an okay question.
Perfect. I just want to make sure that I don't look out my window and all of a sudden Vanguard's out there. So we're good there. Matt, it's an honor and a privilege to have you on the show again. And real quick, before we let you go, is there anything you want to say to people that are watching or listening to this right now?
Yes, I would like to tell everyone tomorrow Under Siege is going to be an amazing show. If you get the opportunity to go to TNA Plus, make sure you tune in to Under Siege. I promise you, I am going all out tomorrow night, because I am there to make a statement to Moose, because my goal of returning to TNA is to become the TNA World Champion. So I am going to show him tomorrow night. I'm going to make an example of Moose and show him why it is time to go one-on-one with the Broken One, and why it is time for the broken brilliance of Matt Hardy to once again procure the world title from TNA.
Oh, man, it's going to be exciting to watch you beat Moose, and it's definitely going to be exciting to see you grab that TNA title that's sitting behind my back here. Cannot wait to see that around Broken Matt Hardy's waist or shoulder, or however Broken Matt Hardy is going to carry that to the ring. It's going to be fun to watch. Good luck tomorrow night, and again, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you.